Hi everyone. I thought I'd do a video about vaccines for chickens because I've gotten a lot of questions about them recently. So I'm going to preface this by saying that vaccines are not for everybody. They are costly. For instance, just a bottle of vaccine for mycoplasma can run $80 each. And if you've only got a dozen chickens that you bought for 15, 20 bucks a piece, do you really want to spend $80 for a bottle of vaccine? It makes sense for our farm because we've got a lot of chickens and some very expensive breeds. So I definitely want to make sure that they are protected as much as I can. So we do vaccinate for all of the major poultry diseases, at least everything that we can vaccinate for. And so here we go. These are what I vaccinate for. And we're going to go by one through them, and we'll talk about them a little bit. So the first vaccine that I use, and the most prevalent one, is for Marek's disease. So the actual vaccine itself will come in a little bottle like this, right? It's actually like a powder. You can see it, the bottom of the jar here. Let's see if I can focus it here. There we go. Marek's disease vaccine. And it comes in a little powder here. All right. And it always comes with this diluent. And you're going to take this vaccine here and you're going to mix it into the diluent. And then you're going to inject that into the chicken at the base of the neck. And if you watch the end of this video, I'll show you how to do that. But it's important to note that these vaccines are made in 1,000 doses. So you can vaccinate 1,000 chickens with this. And I don't know a single backyard person who has 1,000 chickens on their property. So again, it's not always the most cost-effective thing to do, but if you're really invested in your chickens, if they're pets to you, or you have really expensive breeds, I definitely recommend it. Everybody should at least do Marek's. Marek's is very, very prevalent, especially here in California's Central Valley, where there's poultry just about everywhere. And the Marek's vaccine runs about $30, so it's a lot more cost efficient than the other ones. The important thing about Marek's is that you definitely need to give the vaccination as soon as the chicks hatch. If you take longer than that to do it, then most of the time the chickens have already been, or the chicks have already been exposed to it, so it doesn't work as well anymore. All right, so that's Marek's there. Marek's is a disease that causes paralysis of the chickens. It'll cause the formation of tumors and wasting in chickens. And sometimes they will die without you even being able to tell what killed them. And it can wipe out a good 50% or more of your flock. It is a virus, so you cannot treat it if your chickens do have it, but you can vaccinate for it right after they're born. So that's Marek's. Next, we have, this is the vaccine for Newcastle and infectious bronchitis. It's 2-in-1. This comes in a jar of powder like this, similar to the Marek's, but it does not come with a diluent. So the Newcastle and bronchitis vaccine, you actually mix into the water. And one little jar of this is 10,000 doses. You can pretty much treat every single chicken on the farm with a single vial. So infectious bronchitis, Newcastle. Newcastle is pretty rare. You're not going to see that very often. We had those huge breakouts in the early 2000s, but bronchitis you may see here and there. So that's Newcastle and infectious bronchitis. This is the vaccine for mycoplasma. So this comes, it's already mixed in a solution here. So you can draw it with the syringe out of the actual bottle itself, or you can have an automatic syringe and the whole bottle will fit right into the syringe and it'll dispense it for you. This again is 1,000 doses. So and a bottle of this is about $80. But mycoplasma is probably the most prevalent disease of poultry in the United States. It's estimated that anywhere between 60 and 80% of all backyard poultry has mycoplasma in the flock already. Mycoplasma is a respiratory disease. You'll see this with chickens that have bubbly eyes, maybe swollen face, discharge from the nose. They'll get lethargic, they'll start wasting and not eating. A lot of times that's going to be mycoplasma. So this is a great vaccine to have if you're experiencing that in your flock. Mycoplasma is a bacterial infection, so you can treat it with antibiotics. But once you stop the antibiotics, it can recur, and it is highly infectious and it can be passed from chicken to chicken. Once it's in your flock, your chicken that has been infected by it will be a carrier for life. So it's really important that you keep this from occurring in your chickens. But again, take it with a grain of salt, because if you've got 5 chickens that all together are worth $100, is it really, financially prudent to buy an $80 vaccine that you're only going to use once? All of these vaccines are one-time use only. The moment these bottles are open, the vaccine will start, the attenuated virus in here will start to die, and then it becomes ineffective. So number one, make sure all of these vaccines are refrigerated at all times. If you buy them online, most of the time they'll give you an option to buy an ice pack, and then they'll send it to you overnight, and they need to stay refrigerated. If you buy it from a feed store, then you want to make sure that they're taking these bottles out of a refrigerator and not taking it off a shelf, because if they've been sitting out, then the vaccine is no longer good. Okay, so that's mycoplasma. This is the vaccine for infectious coryza. Like mycoplasma, coryza is a respiratory infection. The biggest difference between the two is that there's normally a lot of facial swelling with coryza, and also a foul smell coming from the chickens. If you squeeze, for instance, if they have a swollen head or swollen eye and you squeeze it, a lot of times you'll get hard chunks of kind of a yellowish white pus come out, and that is a trademark of coryza. Not as prevalent as mycoplasma in most poultry, but we do see it quite a bit here in the Central Valley. Again, the coryza vaccine runs about $80 a bottle, 1,000 doses in here. But I use this and the others because it helps to protect my super expensive chickens that I've spent years and years curating and breeding. So for me, it makes sense. If you buy a hen, a full-grown hen or rooster from us, then they will have been vaccinated for all of these things. Now, it's really important to note that both Mycoplasma and Coryza, you need 2 doses of it. This is given to chickens that are about 8 weeks and above, and then you're going to redose them again after 4 weeks, so that you give them a little booster, and it works a little bit better than just a single dose. So you're not only paying just, you know, $80 for one, you have to dose them twice. So that's really $160 for 2 doses, because one of these bottles is only good for about an hour or so after you open it. After that, they go bad. This is the vaccine for fowl pox. You know, fowl pox is very, very prevalent here in Fresno and in the surrounding areas. Every summer, fowl pox is passed from mosquitoes and sometimes rodents that are infected. Fowl pox normally will not kill your chickens, but it is just very unsightly. They get all the scabbing on their face and comb. This is the vaccine for it. You have the powder in here, and then you have the diluent in here, which is normally a blue color. And then you'll take this powder and mix it in with this diluent, and then it'll come with this little tool right here. You'll stick this into the mixture, and then you'll just stick it into the wing web of your chicken. Okay, it's not oral. You just stick these the pointed ends of this little tool into the wing web of your chickens, and that's how you vaccinate for fowl pox. A lot of people experience fowl pox during the summer. Most people just let it go through the flock, and then, you know, they kind of heal on their own, which isn't a big deal. But for me, I like to prevent it. This is about $30 for the vaccine, and this bottle is enough to treat my entire flock of chickens. And I just hate seeing them be so miserable. So I always vaccinate for the fowl pox. So yes, these are a lot of vaccines. No vaccine is perfect. So just keep in mind that there are still breakthrough infections, even if you're vaccinating with all of these vaccines. Just like human vaccines, it's really up to the immune system of the chicken to make the antibodies in their body in order to fight the infection. So vaccinating is great, but it does not replace making sure that your chickens are healthy and making sure that their immune system is working properly. All right, so those are the vaccines. And if anybody has any questions, you can always post it down. And then I'm going to show you guys how to vaccinate with the Marek's vaccine with the new chicks that just hatched today. All right, this is how we vaccinate for Marek's. We've got the diluent bottle here, and then we've actually got the powder in this little jar here, right? It's got a pull tab up here. You're going to pull that off and just take the cap off of the bottle. Okay. Now you're gonna take I use a bigger syringe for this. This is a 3 ml syringe. You can just buy this from Amazon or any kind of medical supply store. It's got the needle attached to it already. Sorry, I've got marker on my fingers here. Okay, so I'm gonna open this, and you're actually going to stick this into the diluent, and you're going to pull some solution out of the diluent bottle. All right. And then you're going to stick this into the bottle, and you're going to inject all of that solution into the bottle. All right. You can add a little bit more solution if you'd like. There you go. And again into the bottle here. Be really careful. All right. We're going to recap the needle. And then we're going to shake this up. Make sure that it is completely mixed. Make sure that all of the powder is completely dissolved. All right. And then you're going to take this, you can take this cap off. Actually makes it a little easier for you. And you're going to take the same needle, same syringe that you just used, and you're going to suck up all that solution that is now mixed. And then you're going to inject this back into the big bottle. All right. Make sure that we get everything out of here. All right. And inject all of that into the bottle. I'm going to recap the needle over here. Okay, and then now we're just going to shake up this whole bottle so that it's completely mixed. Okay. We're going to recap that and put that off to the side. Now the vaccine is ready to be injected into your day-old chicks. Now there's two ways that you can do that. You can use a syringe. The dosage is 0.2 mils, okay? 0.2 mils is a very small amount. This 3 mil syringe, it would be about that much. Which is kind of hard. So you can actually use these insulin needles. These insulin needles are 1 mil. And so if you're going to do 0.2 mils, you can just fill this up and then just inject 2 mils at a time into each chick. And the great thing about these needles, these syringes, is that the needle in here is actually really small. So you're not going to harm the chicken. You see how short that needle is on this insulin syringe? So it does take a while if you've got a lot of chicks to go through, trying to draw the solution from the bottle into the syringe. If you've only got a couple of chicks, it works great. But if I'm hatching 100, 200 chicks at a time, then this really takes forever, and then the syringe starts to dull out. So instead of using these insulin syringes, I've upgraded to an automatic dosing syringe. It looks like this, okay, like that. This one is 0.5 mil. Which works great because here's 0.2 for the Marek's disease, and then I use this same gun. I actually have multiple of these. The Mycoplasma and the Coryza is 0.5 mils, so I just set this you can change the setting on this by adjusting this back and forth. So there we go, 0.2 mils. This will normally come in a packet that looks like this. Okay, so this is the Prima bottle mount vaccinator, 0.5 mils. It comes in multiple sizes, so make sure that you get the one that works for you. This is by Neogen. And the bottle, the vaccinating gun, is going to come with multiple attachments like this. All right. So it'll fit just about every kind of bottle that you have. This one here is the one that we use for the Marek's bottle, and it'll just sit right in there. This will just load right onto the gun here, and then the bottle will sit right in here like that. And then once you've injected, it's going to pull 0.2 mils right back into the syringe, so you're not having to reload your syringe over and over again. The needle is going to just go right here. This just comes, I just ordered these off of Amazon. Comes in a box that looks just like this. All right, they're just easy hypodermic needles that just attach right onto the end of this vaccinating gun here. All right, so these other caps will work with the mycoplasma bottles, and it's the same thing. It'll just lock onto here, and then the bottle, the needle right here will go into the bottle, and it'll draw the exact amount that you need, so that you're not having to go back to the bottle every time you inject a chicken. So let me show you how this is done. I'm going to take this and, it's the wrong one, there we go. I'm going to lock in there. And then I'm actually going to increase this so that I can prime the gun. There we go. This is going to pop right in. Supposed to be easier than that. There we go. And then it's going to twist right on to the gun. It's easier if you turn it upside down, actually. And then here we go. I'm going to tighten that onto there. It's kind of hard to do this when you're trying to look at it through a camera, but anyway, there we go. And you're going to have to pump it quite a few times in order to prime the gun. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put the syringe, the needle, onto the end of the syringe here. Twist right on. Okay. So once you've pumped it enough, you're going to start seeing liquid in this tube here, and that's when you know that it's been primed. So now I'm going to set it back to 0.2. Okay, you see that? And so now we are ready to go. So if I show you, if I inject this, it's automatically going to refill to 0.2. You see that? Okay, so this is what the setup looks like right here. And I'm going to show you guys how to use this with your chicks. So if you have somebody to help you, it's great. I normally just do this by myself. I've been doing it for a very long time, so I can get it done pretty quickly. I'm going to use my automatic syringe here. A lot of the big hatcheries have these machines where they just literally put the chick on against the machine and the machine will vaccinate for them. Really, really easy. Those machines are just not financially doable for most small farms. So I use this. And this thing's about 40 bucks. I've got a couple of them. They're great investment. I do Marek's the first day that the chicks hatch, right when I'm getting ready to move them from the incubator to the brooder. I will vaccinate them and then they will go straight into the brooder. Mycoplasma, coryza, fowl pox, I will normally do at about the 8-week mark when I'm getting ready to move them from the brooder outside. And then Newcastle, I will put in the water about a week or so before I move them outside so that they have been dosed before they're ever put outside with the larger chickens. All right, so here we go. Pretty easy here. Take this off. Make sure that when you buy these hypodermic needles that you're buying one that's really short on the end. You don't want anything too long because then you're not going to have as good of control of your needle. Okay? So, here's a little chickie. This is one of our black copper Morans. You know, maybe I should probably grab one that's not so dark so you guys can see what I'm doing. Alright. This is a silver red blue splash variety. Okay, you're going to want to inject subcutaneously, which just means right underneath the skin, right at the base of the neck here. You want to make sure that your needle is pointed towards the tail and not towards the head. And then you want to make sure that once you have the needle in, that it is horizontal to the chick and not down like this, because then you're going to possibly puncture a lung or hit a vertebrae. So you don't want to do that. So I will normally just hold the chick in between my hands, and then I'll just put the head with my hands like this, and that just exposes the neck for me. You want to stick the needle just right underneath the skin and then inject. For beginners, if it's hard for you to see, you can actually take a little bit of water and just put water right on the down. You see that? So now you can see the neck really, really well. And you're just going to take your needle. Make sure you're not injecting into the spine, okay? You're going to want to go a little bit to the side and just stick the tip of that needle up. I recommend pulling up just a little bit to make sure you're under the skin and not in a muscle. And then you're going to inject. Now, sorry, I'm trying to do this when I can't see. All right. So, right under the skin, inject, and you should see a bubble forming. Right? If you're seeing liquid all over the place, it means that you have basically injected it right out the other side of the skin, and they're not going to get the proper dose. So you want to see a bubble form underneath the skin. So, Chickie's perfectly fine, and we're going to put him over here. I'm going to grab another guy here. This is an American breast. Right? So, right between your two fingers, we've got the neck. And I'm going to put water on here so you guys can see what's going on. Needle. Let's see if I can get this so you guys can see. see a little bubble there where you injected. Sometimes a little bit of it will seep back out, and that's fine. But if you're seeing a lot of the liquid come out, then you need to redose the chick because it's not getting what it needs. And the down will dry up and chick will be just fine. Okay. Here we go. We got this little American breast here. I'm going to put some water on him. Head right in between my fingers. Put the needle in. Lift up. You see how it bubbles a little bit right underneath the skin? That makes sure that you got the vaccine into the chick and not splashing out the other side. You see there's really no blood or anything. And that's why it's really important that you're keeping the needle level, parallel to the location where you're injecting. Because if you're injecting this way, the chicken's lungs are right here, and you don't want to puncture a lung, okay? So, chickie's perfectly fine, and we're going to put her down. So, when you get good, it should be pretty quick. I can do a good number of them really, really quickly. All right. So that's it. We're just going to go through and inject all of the chicks. Again, if you don't have this automatic syringe, you can just take the end of this and just take the bottle, and you're just going to stick the syringe into the bottle, pull out as much as you need, and then you're just going to inject 0.2 into each chick, and then once the syringe is used up, then you will just refill again with the bottle. All right? Sorry guys, my hands shake quite a bit, so trying to do this as fast as I can. Alright, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down there, and I hope that this is helpful for most of you guys. It's pretty normal for the chicks to be just a little bit lethargic for the first night. And then most of the time they're fine, but occasionally you'll get one or two that is just a little lethargic, and then they'll be perfectly fine the next day. No problems.